Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, join us for a classic story about Rudolph the Red Nose Reindeer. Then join us for a story about Western performer Michael Martin Murphey and his legendary music. Next, we'll have a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with a look at Christmas traditions. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Happy Wednesday. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we're getting close to Christmas. And of course, before we came on today, our cameraman was singing Winter Wonderland.
In the meadow, you can build a snowman.
Yeah. But you know, as a kid, one of my favorite Christmas songs was Frosty the Snowman. I don't know why, but it just caught my fancy one year listening to the radio and Frosty the Snowman.
I loved hearing Mama sing it, and she would, thumpity thump thump thumpity thump thump. Yeah, and that was really fun. Mama had a beautiful voice, and she would sing Christmas carols. She'd stand and wash dishes and sing Christmas carols and hymns and stuff. And yeah, it was really pretty. I love Silver Bells. I love that one. Yeah, it's really pretty. But I love, too, the tradition I grew up in, the church tradition. We didn't have musical instruments in the church, and everything was sung in minor keys. So I still am drawn to those things in minor keys. So God Rest You Merry Gentlemen in the minor keys, and it's I like that. I love Christmas carols. I'd listen to them all year.
We should turn the camera around and
show Michael over there singing.
He's having fun doing Christmas carols while we're up here trying to tell you about the state of Kansas.
A little bit of the eggnog back there, I think, yeah. So I was at a Christmas party in Philadelphia with my friends Andy and Carol Waskey a few years ago, and they belong to this really hoity-toity country club kind of thing, the Union League, which was founded during the Civil War to help take care of the troops during the Civil War. So now it's kind of an elite patriotic organization, and it's pretty hoity-toity. So they're having some kind of Christmas event, and you've got all the waiters going around, and they've got trays of brandy and eggnog, and so they'd give you a glass of eggnog, and then they had a little silver pitcher like the size of a cream pitcher with brandy in it. So I take the eggnog, and then I take the pitcher and pour the whole thing in. And the kid, I'll never forget his face. He just looked at me like, oh, boy. And he turned around to go back to the kitchen, obviously, to get some more brandy. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were supposed to take the whole thing. Really, I didn't know.
Anyway, we do have some really good stories for you today.
We do. We got some great stuff. And the eggnog recipe. So we've been telling you all the great places to go. And for those last minute presents, I think we mentioned this in our gift idea a couple of weeks ago, but make sure you hit the gift shops for your historic sites and, like we said, for the state capitol. So those places have some very unique, very affordable, and really interesting things.
And they're Kansas-made products.
They're Kansas-made products, and you can get educational things about the state of Kansas. And so those are really good, especially for those last-minute stocking stuffers. We'll be right back.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulder sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. He said, well, we'll have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. For the real story behind Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, we turn to factcheckersnopes.com. Rudolph came to life in 1939 when the Chicago-based Montgomery Ward Company asked copywriter Robert L. May, who had a penchant for children's stories and limericks, to come up with a Christmas story they could give away in booklet form. Drawing in part on the tale of the ugly duckling and his own background, he was often taunted as a child for being shy, small, and slight. May settled on the idea of an underdog ostracized by the reindeer community because of his physical abnormality, a glowing red nose. He wrote Rudolph's story in verse as a series of rhyming couplets, testing it out on his 4-year-old daughter, Barbara, who was thrilled with Rudolph's story. However, May's boss was worried that a story featuring a red nose, an image associated with drinking and drunkards, was unsuitable for a Christmas tale. May responded by taking a friend from the company's art department to the Lincoln Park Zoo to sketch some deer. The illustrations of a red-nosed reindeer overcame the hesitancy of May's superiors, and the Rudolph story was approved. Montgomery Ward distributed 2.4 million copies of the Rudolph booklet in 1939, and millions more throughout the war, despite paper shortages. Since Rudolph had been a work-for-hire project, May received no royalties for his creation. Deeply in debt from the medical bills resulting from his wife's terminal illness, she died about the time May created Rudolph. May persuaded the company's president to turn the copyright over to him in January 1947, and May's financial security was assured. The Rudolph phenomenon really took off when May's brother-in-law, songwriter Johnny Marks, developed the lyrics and melody for Rudolph's song. Mark's musical version was recorded by cowboy crooner Gene Autry in 1949, sold 2 million copies that year, and went on to become one of the best-selling songs of all time, second only to White Christmas. A stop-action television special about Rudolph, narrated by Burl Ives, was first aired in 1964 and remains a popular perennial holiday favorite in the U.S. May died in 1976, comfortable in the life his reindeer creation had provided for him. Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at 2 sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Cody's statue marks his achievements and welcomes visitors to the Cultural Center. The Fick Fossil Museum houses world-class fossils and artifacts. You'll find Oakley at the hub of U.S. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70. Stop for the legend. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Welcome to the Jerry Thomas Gallery and Collection, where we feature my renowned artwork, frontier military, and Native American artifacts. In the painting behind me is Scouting the Trail. Two scouts overlook the Smoky Hill River Valley just north of the famous Monument Rocks, which are internationally renowned, as a column of 7th Cavalry parade north of the river. On this point, two scouts rode in a circle, and there were 18 cartridges found up there, and that meant that they usually were warning of impending danger and firing off their weapons. One of those weapons I feature in the gallery, a Spencer weapon, which we featured in the painting. Very unique and very honored to showcase this to you.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. And we're back again. Our cameraman's still singing Winter Wonderland.
Be quiet, Michael, so we can put on a show. We're doing a show here, Michael.
Yeah, I'll bet Michael Martin Murphy has done Winter Wonderland.
Oh, I bet that and many other things. And Dr. Jake and I were really privileged. We got to go this past weekend down to Anson, Texas, right outside of Abilene, Texas, for Murph's wedding. So he and his lovely fiancée, Cindy Toon, were married there at the Cowboy Christmas. So what better way to celebrate Christmas? And it just reminded me, I wanted to take the time to thank Michael for all he has done for Kansas. And this past year, while we have marked the 150th anniversary of some incredible events throughout the state, it was Michael that nearly every event turned to make it special. And as my friend Jane Pierce said, Michael is the voice of what is authentic. And so the Chisholm Trail, our deal at Fort Wallace, just on and on and on. So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to basically say thank you to Michael. And I think it's within our power to make him an honorary Kansan, isn't it, Frank?
Sure.
We hereby declare you an honorary Kansan, Michael Martin Murphy.
He's a Texan, educated in California. But Kansas is very special to him, and it is obvious that Kansas feels the same way about Michael Martin Murphy. Film producer Ken Spurgeon has worked with Murph on several projects and summed it up. He is someone whose music is tied to the things he loves, and one of those things is our American history, in particular the history of the West and the American cowboy. His love of the land is more than a song or mere words meant to generate a crowd. Murph lives out his love of history through what he sings, where he goes, and what causes he campaigns for. Kansas and the American West have been kept alive by the music and the causes championed by Michael Martin Murphy. Ken is so right, and I could think of no better way to illustrate that philosophy than Murph's song, A Partner to the Wind. If this doesn't touch your soul, well, you're probably not a Kansan and probably not a Western.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Howdy folks, it's time to saddle up for a brand new television series called Cowboy Up, a celebration of the American cowboy. Our show will feature the very finest in Western musicians and cowboy poets for your enjoyment. We'll explore Western music, meet these performers up close and personal, and enjoy their performance of music and rhyme. This is Cowboy Poet Laureate Ron Wilson inviting you to join me as we cowboy up. Happy trails.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family-owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Farming is a gamble. A farmer puts a crop into the ground, a rancher raises a calf, not knowing what kind of weather conditions, market conditions, or other factors could affect it in the end. So farming is a gamble, just like Las Vegas. This is a poem I wrote titled Gambling Man. Did you hear about the guy who went on an amazing trip and hit it rich, winning money at an amazing clip? I hear stories of those high-rolling gambling bigwigs who roll the dice in Vegas and really hit it big. But I'm way too conservative or risk-averse, they say, to take a chance on losing all my money in this way. Yet maybe the biggest gamblers aren't in Vegas after all, but rather in the country at agriculture's call. That's where a farmer takes the gamble to plant a crop of wheat, never knowing if it will survive the drought or freeze or heat. And just as Lady Luck can snatch a gambler's money when they win it, a hailstorm can claim a Kansas wheat crop in a minute. A mother cow takes a year to breed and feed and thrive, but that whole year income's lost if the baby calf does not survive. The market shows the farmer the value of his crops, but it's a gamble to sell before the market drops. So maybe the biggest gamblers aren't the ones with Vegas claims, but rather the farmers and ranchers out here on the Kansas plains. I think I'll take the risks I know with crops and with cattle, instead of trying to beat casino odds in some Las Vegas battle. Did you hear about my friend whose Vegas trip caused such a fuss? He drove there in a $20,000 car and came back in a $100,000 bus. Happy trails.
Merry Christmas from historic Lecompton, where Lane University has decorated more than 100 trees with antique and vintage ornaments, transforming the museum with the magic of the season. Open daily through New Year's Day.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Sarah, and this is my husband, Travis. We both grew up working on family ranches, me in Northern California and Travis in Kansas. We met in college, got married, and took corporate jobs in the beef industry. But soon we realized we missed the production side of the industry.
So we made the daring move to start our own cattle business in southeast Kansas, while also starting our family.
Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. Now, Christmas really is a fun time of the year. Now, when I was growing up, I'm older than you, but when I was growing up on the radio, each year, of course, they would do Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And, of course, Lionel Barrymore played Scrooge. And, of course, he had such a gifted voice.
Oh,
but,
so
I mean,
rich.
I still remember it today. But, of course, radio, theater of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the way they produced it. And, I mean, you saw the images and you saw the
Mm-hmm.
ghosts and you saw Scrooge. And so that's one of my favorite memorable traditions of Christmas.
My Christmas memory, talking about the radio, would be they would play Christmas Dragnet every year. You remember that song where you had Joe Friday and they'd go up north and see the brownies and all the Christmas Dragnet. Yeah.
And
So
Christmas, and Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
I love that song. I am sorry. I think that's one of the funniest things
Grandma
I have
got run
ever.
over by a reindeer.
I think it's hilarious. I think that is so funny. But tradition, Christmas is all about tradition. And I grew up, of course, in the Blue Ridge Mountains where the traditions were sort of unique and started right the evening of Thanksgiving. And so I want to share some of those with you today.
When I was small and got scared at night, I would crawl into bed between Mama and Daddy, and he would tell me the Christmas story to make me feel better. He would talk about the stable and the shepherds, and in my child's mind, I saw Grandpa's stable and the manger where his old plow horse fed. As Daddy spoke in the darkness, I could see the wise men coming over the hill just beyond the pasture, and the angels in the star-filled sky on top of the mountain. Mama had these ceramic candle holders she placed in the picture window each year. They were shaped like letters, spelling out the word Noel, and I knew that word represented the story Daddy had told me. Our wreaths were made of mountain laurel, running cedar, or white pine, twined together in Granny's kitchen. Our Christmas tree was a ragged but pretty full cedar with limbs that drooped from the weight of old glass ornaments. We threw tons of string tinsel, most of it which seemed to catch near the bottom of the tree. We bought the usual presents, socks, long johns, handkerchiefs, books for Grandpa, always Zane Grey westerns for Grandpa. Christmas dinner was served at noon in that same crowded kitchen. The smells of turkey, dressing, and sweet potato pie filled the room. The fire in the wood-cook stove was allowed to die down a bit because of all the folks crowded against it. The smoke from that fire curled to the ground outside as clouds gathered full of soon-to-fall snow. We listened to Christmas Time's A-Comin' by Bill Monroe and Beautiful Star of Bethlehem by Ralph Stanley. Mostly, we listened to the chatter. Women talking recipes, men talking hunting, children talking presents. We were warm, we were fed, we were loved. Wishing you all such a blessed Christmas.
That's it for today. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
And we'll see you somewhere
around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's